that no one else
ever
could.
I got fucked up my own line. We're going to cut this out, yeah?
Mostly.
There was an idea
To bring together a group of remarkable films.
to see if they could become something more.
So when the world needed them, they could build the universe.
That no one else ever could.
This is the Marvel Method.
Hello, this is the Marvel Method. You're listening to Joshua.
And Joel, and
Welcome to episode 2.
this is weird, episode 2. We never get past episode 1 on the things that we do.
We occasionally got to episode 2, I think, on Nerd Talk, but we don't really want to talk about that. do
Yeah,
we?
let's not
talk about it. So, episode 2, as you've seen from the title, we're looking at Thor.
Funny story on this one, actually, is that I may have had a mistake on this one. We had planned to do Captain America.
Yeah, we had. And then Joel Sunny messaged me going, "Hey Josh, did you know that Thor came out before Captain America?" I was like, "Is Thor on the list?" He's like, "Thor's on the list." He's like, "Oh, okay."
So that was down to a couple of friends I was out for dinner with, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing this thing. We're going to do Captain America." And he says, "Are you not doing Thor?" I was like, "Oh." It surprised me how stupid I was. I felt really stupid.
You know what? Everyone makes mistakes. We live, we learn. Failure is not the end. And here we are. We're at Thor, Chapter 4, Phase 1 of the Marvel MCU.
So what's happened between the last film and this film? So we've had 2 films.
We have had two films. So when you last just got.
Yeah.
Are you thinking the same
Yeah,
thing?
I think I'm thinking the same thing.
You can hear the moment that we both went, "Oh, okay, go on, you say it."
Endgame.
Yes.
It finally...
When we filmed episode 1, we said the as yet untitled Avengers 4 Endgame has been announced. I have not seen any of the trailers. I am taking a vow of non-information.
Whereas I have succumbed to Marvel's advertising methods and watched the trailer about 5 times, and then, because I was at work, pulled about 5 colleagues over to watch the trailer as well. And we all loved it, and it's all going to be good. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but after they show the title on the trailer, there's a scene that happens after that, which is brilliant. And I'm very excited to see how this unfolds going forward for both trailers and for the film itself.
Now, question. I haven't seen the trailer, obviously. Do you think the trailer is lying to you? Even the small teaser that they've given?
Yes.
Are they lying?
I do. I do think, similar to the Infinity War trailer where they cut out a number of Infinity Stones, or they put Hulk in it. Actually, there's an entire shot at the end of the first Infinity War trailer that is not used in the film whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think they are. There is some sort of lying happening, but that's fine. That's Marvel. That is that's the way that it should be to preserve the secrets that they're going to give. I do think that this is going to be the best film. Currently, Infinity War is my favourite film. No spoilers on that one as well. I saw that film 4 times in the cinema. So much so I had a trip to Dubai last week, and I had to text Joshua and say, "I really want to watch this film, but I don't want to because we're going to watch it in the Marvel Method."
He was watching this. He was trying to, on the plane to Dubai, they had all Marvel films bar 3, and we had fun time working out. Oh, was it 3 or 4?
4, I think.
Yeah, we had fun time working that out. Anyway, back to Marvel Method. Chapter 4, Phase 1. Let's catch up on where Marvel is. Iron Man 1 came out in 2008. It was a roaring success. They made 4 times their money, 93% approval rating. Solid start. Incredible Hulk came out later in 2008. 1.7 times their money. They made a profit on it. 67% approval rating. It was a bit of a...
Why?
There's a long conversation on that.
Okay.
But Iron Man 2 did not come out, the next film, till 2010.
Okay, so the entire of 2009 was just focused on filming?
Yeah, and there was a reason for this. The reason was they had not planned Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 got the go-ahead to film the second Iron Man 1 was released. So, I can basically imagine the uncertainty in the thing. Now, imagine what Marvel Studios would have been if the Hulk had come out first. If the Hulk had come out first and had not done particularly well, what would the decision have been in Marvel Studios? Now, Iron Man 1 probably would have still been exactly a good film, but would they have gone back and made subtle changes to it? Who knows? Anyway, Iron Man 2 started the second that Iron Man 1 was released. That made 3 times its money, 73% approval rating. Hefty amount of sum. Popularity in it kind of waned a little. And that brings us to Thor, 2011. Thor came out with 3 times the amount of money it made in, 77% approval rating, so that's a pretty thumbs up. That's a good thumbs up. And it also made 1% more than Iron Man's opening, which made it the most successful Marvel opening at that time.
There is another thing that happened in 2009 that makes a little bit more sense.
Go for it.
Makes it. Marvel Entertainment, which is the company that makes the comic books and subsequently owns Marvel Studios, was bought out by Disney.
Yes, this is very, very true. I was going to get onto that, but thank you for pointing that out. So a bit of background on the Thor film. This project was originally going to be a made-for-TV special in 2000.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That was how far plans had gone back for it. Drafts were thrown around since 2006, and the project was actually bounced between Sony and Paramount for a while, before it eventually landed with Marvel. And this was part of Marvel saying, hang on, we're not really making a huge amount of money from our own characters. We think we could make more money and keep more creative control by doing it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
The release date was also bounced around, meant to be released in 2010, but it was eventually bounced actually to June 2011 before it was pulled back to May. Reason being is because Captain America came out in July and they wanted to give a tiny bit of space.
That's funny though, because since then there's always been a May and a July release.
Indeed, and not only that, all the other Thor films have been released in November.
Really?
This was the only Thor film released in the summer.
Ah.
So, Daniel Craig was offered the role of Thor.
Was he?
Can you see Daniel Craig as Thor? I'm struggling, honestly I am.
I am, because, again, the big thing with Daniel Craig is I haven't seen him in anything else bar James Bond. So, seeing Daniel Craig...
I've got to be honest, whenever I see Daniel Craig not in James Bond, I just think, oh, that's James Bond in...
So, one second. So Daniel Craig was offered the role first?
I don't know about first, but he was offered the role. And in fact, a couple of people were considered for the role before it came to Chris, and in fact, his brother was quite entertaining. He and his brother ended up for the same role.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that that both Chris and Liam Hemsworth both were up for the same role. Actually, I think it was came down to the final 2 as the same role.
But it was very good natured. No harm was given. Samuel L. Jackson for this film signed a 9-picture deal. Even though a couple of his things...
Samuel L. Jackson was in this film?
Cameoed.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So he cameoed at the end of Iron Man, and then he cameos in this film?
I think it's the post-credit sequence.
Yes.
This was one of his... he signed a 9-picture deal, and this was one of the pictures.
Oh, right. So, one second. So this was one of the pictures. He didn't sign it after this picture. No. This is one of the 9 picture deals. Of the 9. Has he gone through those 9?
We'll have to count, boy. Fun fact, Tom Hiddleston was also pitched as Thor.
Yes, I knew this. I didn't know this.
They drew a couple of concepts with Tom Hiddleston as Thor, eventually cast him as Loki. This was also his second feature film. And he learned, and as I was read, he learned the news that he got Loki in a quote-unquote grisly pub in North London and caused an uproar by screaming out loud, which is pretty cool. Very, tangential to the film making process, Riley Studios signed the next 4 Marvel films at their studios.
Who?
Riley Studios. They filmed...
Who's Riley Studios?
They've got a big film set in America.
Okay.
They filmed this and the next 4 films.
Where is their film? Their set
California, San Francisco.
Is it?
But I thought that was interesting. That's how Marvel already going, yeah, we've got these films planned out and we like these guys. So
that's interesting you say that. Because most films nowadays for Marvel are films in Atlanta.
Well, I'll have to look into that and see exactly why.
I'm really surprised. I'm trying to work out where the studio is. How do you spell Riley's?
Riley, R-A-L-E-I-G-H.
R-E-L.
Romeo Alpha Lima.
Right, so Raleigh Studios Heart of Hollywood, California.
Mm-hmm.
Number of sound stages. Very interesting. So that's interesting because I know they filmed Guardians in London. So it's really interesting to find out
where they bounce around between, right?
Yeah.
So, final facts on this. Filming began in January 11th, 2010. This is when filming began. And would you like to know one of the characters that you'll consider a kind of key character signed on to be in the film 2 days after the film started? That was Clark Gregg, otherwise known as Agent Carlson.
So, is that because because they filmed it in 2009, so he had already got his...
I think they were just in negotiations for it, but he agreed after they began filming. Imagine that. They're like, okay, we think we might have him, we're going to write him out, but he might be 2 days of filming. We got him. Do this, boys.
And I'll tell you something, he has one of the best scenes in this film, in my opinion, with himself and Chris Hemsworth and Hawkeye.
Final thoughts. Kenneth Branagh.
Now, do you know... One second. Do you know who Kenneth Branagh is?
So, I did a bit of IMDbing. I kind of recognise his face-ish.
The role you would probably know him for, he is Gilderoy Lockhart in the Harry Potter series.
Oh man, he is.
Yeah. So that's how you would know his face.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry to everyone else for everything else that Kenneth Branagh has been in, because he has been in a lot of things and he is an incredible actor, an incredible director. But for Joshua, that's how Joshua would know who he is.
When I was only looking up his directing talents, and I've noticed that he's directing Artemis Fowl currently in production.
He is,
and that is a childhood love of mine. And seeing how Mortal Engines went, I don't care if it bombs at the box office. I'll be happy.
I am super excited for Kenneth Branagh to be doing Artemis Fowl. Artemis Fowl is going to be
you like Artemis Fowl?
Incredible. I'm very, very excited. I read
boy.
all the books there for that one. But he's been in loads of things. He's also the other thing, a big thing that you would know, you might know him for, is that he was married to Emma Thompson.
Fancy that.
So he's been in a lot of things. And he directed Murder at the Orient Express, the 2017 one.
Yes, that came up.
Cinderella, Dunkirk. Oh no, he played it. He played someone in Dunkirk.
Yeah, he was the ship. He was a dockmaster.
Royal Navy Commander.
Yeah. So, in terms of how this film did in awards, it only actually won 3 awards.
For what?
Well, the only people of the film to win awards were Tom Hiddleston and Alexander Bryan from Empire and Saturn Awards, who won Best Male Newcomer and Best Costume. I'm not sure if Best Costume is really an award that you can feel honoured to get. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great to have it, but doesn't that go to the costume designers? Wow.
So yeah, you have a look at I think that might be something to really interesting to look at. Will be the costume designers. The thing is that Iron Man's got his suit, and that's fine. It's a fully encompassing suit. This has to fit around the actor.
And when you think about it, actually, this is one of the first films that has that. Iron Man, he's completely around the suit.
Incredible Hulk.
He is the Hulk. He's just a CGI character. This is the first film where we actually need to focus on the suits and bringing the world to life like that. It's a fantasy world. The film itself won also Best Sci-Fi Fantasy from Empire. And yes, this was the last movie distributed by Paramount, because in 2009, Disney bought Marvel for $4 quadzillion billion dollars.
Quadzillion billion. Excellent.
And then paid $150 million to Paramount for distribution rights for Avengers and Iron Man 3.
Damn.
So there we go. This is the background that we're talking. Marvel. So it's not so much that Marvel was ever in a desperate position going, man, how do we recover this? And I'm sure if we did something on DC, we might end up in that kind of situation. But Marvel certainly went back to the drawing board and thought, okay, they were basically pitching around ideas for this for a while. They're hot between different directors, and so what comes out is the end of a very long process. And I'm excited now.
I think we have got a really interesting film on our hands. We've seen
I'll let you finish.
We've seen for the last 3 films very much Earth-based films.
Mm-hmm.
This is our first fantasy, non-Earth-based film. Yes, a lot of it happens on Earth, but actually, half the film, if not a third of the maybe half, happens off Earth.
Yep. And they spent a lot of time trying to work out how to portray that correctly. Oh man, I completely forgot what I was going to say.
Excellent. That means I think it's time to start.
I think it is indeed time to start. No pausing, right?
No pausing, all the way through. The last thing I want to say is kind of about Iron Man 2.
Oh, I remember actually what I want to say.
Go on, you go first.
Why did we pick this film? Iron Man 1, we picked the film because... well, we know why we picked Iron Man, we talked about it. Why did this film make our shortlist of things to do?
We felt that the original Avengers character origins... For me personally, original Avengers character origin stories were important. I do not feel that Incredible Hulk, and I'm sure if we ever get through to watching Incredible Hulk, I can rant about how much I dislike that film. I did not feel like it was an origin story, whereas this specifically is very much an origin story. It is about Thor becoming who he should be.
Mm-hmm. I remember one of the phrases that someone said was, a lot of origin stories about people finding their powers. What they wanted Thor to be was a god growing into his powers. And you could kind of throw the same about Incredible Hulk, but yeah, this is exactly what you say for Thor.
Right.
You said one last thing about...
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Iron Man 2, because there's a couple of scenes in Iron Man 2, and again, if we get time, we'll go back, we'll watch Iron Man 2, and we'll go through that. But there's a couple of scenes in Iron Man 2 that are relevant to this one. One being Clark Gregg in Iron Man 2, which leaves...
Agent Coulson.
Who leaves Tony Stark to go to the middle of a desert.
As it was also shown in the post-credit sequence.
And then, yes, in the post-credit sequence, the scene where Clark Gregg, Agent Coulson, is on the phone saying, "We found it, sir." They're the two scenes that are relevant to this film that we didn't see because we haven't watched Iron Man 2.
Sure.
You ready? Alright. Here we go. So as you were saying, this is the
sound. You tinker with the sound.
As you were saying, this is the last
film
distributed by Paramount.
Yeah. After this, it's all Marvel.
So with this might be the last time we see the Marvel
Comic book
Studios comic book flip. I'm not sure for certain. It might be the last time we see it.
Starry Night. Van in the beginning. I've forgotten how this film begins.
So Natalie Portman.
Mm-hmm.
Natalie Portman.
And a Norwegian guy whose name I cannot pronounce. Scandinavian guy.
Stellengard. Stellengard? What's his name?
I didn't realise that.
Skarsgård.
Skarsgård. I like how I'm not sure how to feel about the camera being totally diagonal for the first couple of scenes. I'm sure it's intense.
Why is it? That seems very weird.
It's an unsettling decision.
Well, Natalie Portman. So Natalie Portman had been in a number of films prequel to this.
Mm-hmm.
Most notably the prequels for Star Wars. And is not in all the 4 films.
No, she's in the first 2.
She's in the first 2. And then she is subsequently written out.
Off we trot. I'm curious. She said that all of the others have been predicted. Why would they have been predicted? She said all the other occurrences have been predicted.
Because she's been predicting them, no?
No, but what I don't understand is I'm confused. Oh wow, this is cool. But why they predicted it? Surely it's just the choice of the Asgardians to travel where they want.
Yeah, but most of the time Asgardians don't choose a planet rather than choose a...
But I don't know, I'm just not sure exactly why they've been predicted, why they come down on a predictable schedule. Oh man. Thor, meet Car. Power pages of Marvel Entertainment. Joel, are you doing your research now?
No, I'm just having a look because I remember.
Oh, this village, same village that Red Skull invades in Captain America 1.
No.
Mm-hmm. Same village.
That's interesting.
Man believed to be home to their gods. Others they knew to fear. From a realm of cold and darkness came the frost giants.
You'll see later. There's a couple of clips at the end of the film that were actually intended to be the start of the thing. So it's funny. It's just interesting for me how they changed around. Also, if I remember reading correctly, there were 3 actors who motion captured and played the Frost Giants. Yeah, only 3.
Humanity would not face this threat alone.
Ah, Odin. Would you like to know a fun fact about Odin?
Go on then.
Stan Lee wanted to play Odin.
Really?
Stan the man.
That would have been a long.
It would have been a very different kind of film. But you know what? Anthony Hopkins, is it?
Anthony Hopkins plays Odin. He's signed as Odin despite never reading a Thor comic, nor knowing anything about Thor mythology at all.
I remember reading that he was interested in the father-son relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now we're seeing. Ooh, we just saw how Thor, Odin's eye was taken.
The frost giants back into the heart of their own world. The cost was great.
What did it cost you?
In the end,
Everything.
their king fell. The source of their power was taken from them. The last great
So
war
is that actually the
they
Tesseract?
withdrew from the other world.
I don't think
I don't
it is.
think it is. It doesn't have the effect that I'd imagine.
But it does look like it.
Yeah,
Asgard.
that's cool. Now, what they've obviously done here is they're showing. For a long time, Marvel didn't say this is magic. They said this is just sufficiently advanced technology. And the sort of moving things you can see on the right is very much reminiscent of technology more than magic. And I think that's what they're trying to go for. They're not trying to scare people with this idea of aha, magic things.
When do they start talking about magic?
Basically, Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
That's when they said, yeah, no, there's no reason for this. It's magic.
Which is interesting because it's an interesting distinction between magic and technology.
Yeah.
But the day will come. And one of you will have to defend them.
The frost giants still live. When I'm king, I'll hunt the monsters down and slay them all. Justice suited, father.
A wise king never seeks out war, but he must always be ready for it.
Interesting.
Are you trying to think if that comes up anywhere else?
Yeah. There's Mjolnir.
And in the background, you have the Eternal Flame.
Only
Useful
one of you could ascend
when Ragnarok may arrive.
There's a couple of items in there. I've got a list of them. Some of them cause consistency problems for later. So they had Hela say, "Oh, they're fakes."
I know specifically which item you're talking about.
We have Valkyrie helmet. I remember reading that Hemsworth bulked up so much for his role that when he first put on his outfit, it actually started cutting off his blood circulation. Whereas Loki actually went on a diet, so he looked lean and hungry.
It's interesting because Tom Hiddleston wasn't a comic book fan before this.
And he became one after.
Yeah.
That's cool, right?
I think it was kind of the point, is that it was bringing comic books into a more public light for people who were interested to become more.
That's the beauty of adaptations. They open up entire markets to people who had not been interested in it before. I started reading Guardians of the Galaxy after seeing the film. I'm one of the people. I basically did not read any comic books before that. So I'm one of the people that was like, this was interesting. I wonder what it's like.
Now, I'm gonna have to refer to one of Thor's friends as Gimli because he's literally Gimli.
He is Gimli.
So long entrusted with the mighty hammer.
Is this the first time you've seen this film after watching it?
No, I have rewatched it once.
Power has no equal. It's a weapon to destroy.
So it's been quite a while though.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm looking at this. I'm like, oh, this is a thing. I don't remember all of this.
I have defended Asgard.
Now, Loki said, Tom Hiddleston said his armor was actually very uncomfortable. And so he channeled that in his battle scene by looking extra annoyed. I hate this!
That's funny.
Now, it hasn't come up yet, but the number 9 is quite important in Norse mythology.
Norse mythology.
There's 3 occasions where it symbolically comes up.
Items.
Tablet of Life, Eye of Agamotto. We have the Warlock's Eye, Eternal Flame, Casket of Ancient Winters, and the Infinity Gauntlet.
Eye of Agamotto.
Yes.
What is the Eye of Agamotto?
Mystic artifact well wielded by the supreme sorcerers of Earth.
Indeed, and who wields the Eye of Agamotto?
Is that Doctor Strange?
Indeed, the amulet he uses is called the Eye of Agamotto.
Cast aside all selfish ambition and to pledge yourself only to the good of the realm. I swear! On this day,
now, we know that Thor's hammer weighs a lot, and it said in the back part just a bit ago it was made from the heart of a dying star.
In the heart of a dying star.
From the heart of a dying star, and this makes a lot of sense because neutron stars, remnants of or very close to black holes, are very dense. A teaspoon would weigh billions of tons.
Joshua, the heart of the dying star that that Mjolnir was made in was Nidavellir. Which we have seen.
We have seen, you're right. Oh boy. Splat, splat, splat. And that was our first glimpse of the Destroyer armor.
Indeed. Which you think Iron Man based his armor off of?
Iron Man didn't base his armor off it, but, and I was going to bring this up later, but I might as well do it now, but there is an Iron Man arc called Fear Itself, where Tony Stark gets the Destroyer armor from Asgard and wears it.
Really?
But he was presumably Iron Man before that.
must pay for what they've done. They have paid with their lives. The destroyer did its work. The casket is safe and all is well.
Nice little composition with Thor and Loki split apart visibly.
If the Frost Giants had stolen even one of these relics,
They didn't.
well, I want to know why.
His hair looks weird.
King of the earth.
He
Quite
just
laid
broke
back.
your truce. They know you are vulnerable.
And again, costumes in this film is incredible. Just looking
nice.
at the costumes.
It gets a little more militant as it goes along through the film, but it's still very
Only
nice.
as a warrior.
This was an act of
It
war.
was the act of but a few, doomed to fail.
Look how far they got.
We'll find the breach in our defenses and will be seen.
As king of Asgard,
But you're not king!
I don't think anyone could have played this as well as Anthony Hopkins does playing this.
No, I think he's done a really good job.
And he's been in all 3 Thor films. One of his favourite moments is in Ragnarok when Loki is playing him.
That is a table flip. Oh my lord, that was a table flip. So
Teen angst, I would say.
So Anthony Hopkins loves Ragnarok.
No, he really enjoyed his scene in Ragnarok where Loki is playing him. It's disguised as him.
Oh, and he gets to be
a
little
bit. Yeah, he really loved that scene.
Yeah. It's Gimli.
Any consolation? I think you're right. Well, the frost giants are about everything. If they found a way to penetrate Asgard's defenses once, who's to say they won't try again? Next time with an army. Exactly. There's nothing you can do without replying to honor.
Gotta be honest, I'm not sure the long hair works for Hemsworth.
No.
I think
No,
Ragnarok.
I don't like either. I don't like either. I think like Loki's hair is a little bit different.
This is Sparta. Sorry, go on.
Like Thor's hair is too long, and Loki's hair is a bit too. I don't know. It's not as sleek as it should be. You know what?
Yeah. And here we also see forgettable characters 1 through 4 or 5. I couldn't name their names.
Now, Jamie Foxx. Is it Jamie Foxx? No, it's not Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx.
What's her name?
You led you into the most glorious battles.
You did.
Volstagg, the delicacy so succulent you thought you died and gone to Valhalla.
Okay, so one's called Volstagg.
Yes. And who proved wrong?
Volstagg?
Scoffed at the idea that a young maiden could be one of the fiercest warriors this realm has ever known.
I did.
Hogan,
But I supported you, Sif.
Fandral,
Friends,
and Sif. Jamie Alexander, that's her name. Jamie Alexander, this Thor 1 and 2 are not the only Marvel
Film she's been in?
things she's been in.
What else has she been in?
She was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the first episode of
As
Agents of
herself,
S.H.I.E.L.D.
or
as the character she plays here, Sif.
Ah, nice.
And she teaches someone, I can't remember who, but she teaches someone
By the
to...
way, these visuals are stunning.
They are stunning. But
Planet with... Now, in order to get those kind of visuals, you would need very little atmosphere and very little ambient light. So it's a little abstracted, but you know what? Live with it. Hang on. Idris Elba's about to be cool.
oh yeah.
Most scenes with Idris Elba are about to be cool.
Leave this to me.
She's in 2 Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
warm me enough.
And the other thing about
Hang on. I'm trying to hear what they're saying.
You must be mistaken.
Enough! How dare we pass? Never, as an enemy, slipped my watch until this day.
Them eyes, boy.
I wish to know how that happened. Until knowing where we've gone until we've returned. Understand?
Jamie Alexander,
Yeah.
Sif's character has been confirmed to have been dusted.
Yeah. She couldn't make it into the film for various reasons, and the Screen Junkies made a humorous joke of, "You think you're safe? You're not safe." Because in the rest of Thor Ragnarok, yeah, ooh, I like that little polar bit of camera, polar wrap. Yeah, they all
Well, what?
clonked.
But yeah, do they? No. But
They
Jamie,
got killed by Hela.
not Sif.
That's because she couldn't make it to the film.
Okay, but she
she's been
didn't.
confirmed to be dusted.
She got confirmed to be dusted, not killed by Hela.
Yes, because we couldn't see it in the film. Now, what I like about this is it's very clearly showing mechanics. It's once again playing this idea of it's not magic; it's just sufficiently advanced technology.
Be warned, I will honor my sworn oath to protect this realm as its gatekeeper. If your return threatens the safety of Asgard, my trust will remain closed to you.
All Thor films use this room.
Can you just leave the bitch
All Thor films use this room, and it is a stunning room, stunning set.
upon it? I have no plans to die today. None do.
Quality lines. I have no plans to die today. None.
That is his superhero Thor.
They said that these Bifrost things were some of the hardest scenes to film.
Why?
Creatively. Why? Because there's no reference to Earth. All it says is they travel through the Bifrost. How does it look like? What does it feel like? The Bifrost in the end scene, the end credits, as we'll get to them, took 18 months to create, inspired by the Hubble telescope. Because they literally you can't Google what does it look like to travel. Do we ever come back to Bifrost? Do we ever come back to Hodenheim?
I don't think so. No.
Remind me what Thor's plan for this place was. Go here, bust some people up.
Bust some people up and get them back for coming to invade I nearly said Azeroth there. It's not Asgard.
Asgard. Damn. You can take the WoW player out of WoW, but can't take the WoW out of the WoW player. It's very medieval. It's very medieval to say, well, they hit us, so we'll send someone to hit them back, and we'll just keep bashing each other for a bit until one of us gets bored.
Isn't Norse mythology very much like that, though?
I don't know much about Norse mythology. Also, fun fact, the Scandinavian actor,
Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah, he's actually an atheist, does not believe in Norse mythology.
Interesting. Now, he was in Mamma Mia. He was one of the dads in Mamma Mia, along with Pierce Brosnan and Colin Firth.
He is a quality character.
Yeah. And as we know, not just used in the Thor films.
Where are they? Hiding.
Where else was he?
Cowards always.
Avengers.
Yes, he was, first one.
We'll get there.
We'll
get there. Are you okay?
Hey, I'm just trying to remember him. What's interesting about this, in sort of like the ruin? I like that. I know you.
How did your people get into Asgard?
That just reminds me of Doctor Who, when Harriet Jones, Prime Minister, we know who you are.
The House of Odin is full.
What's nice about this is it's showing this idea of desolation. Like, imagine if your world, the thing that made your world, disappeared.
And a thief. And why have you come here? To make peace. You long for battle. You crave it. You're nothing but a boy, trying to prove himself a man.
Who's the actor for this?
No, I did actually look that up. He is uncredited for it, but I can find you his name. He's actually something like 6'5" and quite thin. Whereas he said the other actors were quite like 6'7" and quite bulky. But they said they wanted someone kind of thin to be a little faster.
You know not what your actions will unleash. I do. Go now, while I still allow it.
Giant. Colm Feor was also one of them.
We will accept.
I think it's Colm
Your
Feor.
most gracious offer.
Interesting.
Yeah, that looks like him. This guy.
Ah. Irish actor?
Colm Feor, Boston, Massachusetts.
Ah. Name sounds Irish.
Fair enough.
Run back home, little princess.
Oh, and it was going so well.
Next.
Another!
The weapons in Asgard are just mystical, aren't they? They are some crazy, interesting, mystical
Well,
weapons.
they're very fantastical. Which makes you go, well, hang on, haven't they been outdated?
Making a challenge for me.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why they use it, because it's certainly in keeping with the theme. That's nice. And also, you could argue it's a case of they've gone around full circle. They've gone through having projectile weapons, and they've come back to having overpowered physical weapons as a way to overcome this sort of natural physical strength.
As we just saw, Mjolnir is projectile though.
Can be, yes. And we're about to see Loki do Loki's things, the trick that he pulls for the next 3 films. Psych!
Gimli!
Nobody tosses a dwarf. Cold burns are real things. Now imagine.
Interesting.
And then we have a guy with a fencing sword. A henchie with a fencing sword.
Did we talk about how much money this film made?
It made 3 times its budget.
Okay.
Its actual budget was 140 million, so 10 million less than the original Iron Man.
Thor!
We must go! Then go!
Multi-hill.
Now, if I remember correctly, this is funny because at the start of Thor Ragnarok, he is also chased along by
a dragon.
I don't know if this is a dragon, but certainly this is like a very big dog. Which is also funny because at the end of Thor 3, there was also a very big dog.
All I'm thinking now is when he's spinning that of Korg's like, the hammer pulled you off. You won't have the hammer. The hammer pulled you off.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Now, I'm assuming there was always meant to be there was always meant to be some sort of romantic chemistry between Jamie Alexander and Chris Hemsworth, Thor and Sif.
You think so?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like it's always the fact that Sif liked Thor.
I don't know. Honestly, the way I see it is, this is kind of on the other side. The way I saw it is just they happen to be battle brothers, except one of them is not a brother. If you get what I'm saying. I didn't think there was anything romantic there. But you feel free to point at the film because so far all we've seen is that they have worked together. And we see Thor has powers of flight. Is it a burn? Is it a plane?
Ooh,
Through the face.
face shot.
You can see through the other side.
Yeah.
Nice little touch going down there.
Thank you, Kenneth Branagh.
Here's the big man. Now, if you notice, that horse had many legs. That horse had 9 legs.
Really?
Yep, that's a Norse mythological thing.
Wow, I never noticed that.
Yeah, the horse you saw it kicking with 4 legs in the front.
You look weary.
Luffy, end this now.
Your boy sought this out.
You're right. These are the actions of a boy. Treat them as such. You and I can end this here now, before there's further bloodshed.
We are beyond diplomacy now, All Father. He'll get what he came for. War and death.
So be it.
So,
Cool.
just again, look at the costumes.
No, that's pretty damn good. It took him, I remember reading it took several hours to get that together in the mornings.
Really?
I mean, you can imagine
Yeah.
the layers and layers.
You cannot even protect your pets. Actually hope to protect this kingdom. Send for healing room. No!
There won't be a kingdom to protect if you're afraid to act.
The Jotuns must learn to fear me, just as they once did.
Jotunheim is
That's
weird.
pride and vanity talking, not leadership. You've gotten everything I taught you. But a warrior's patience. While you wait and be patient. The 9 realms laugh at us.
So you're talking about the number 9 and how important number 9 was.
9 realms. That's one of them.
Greedy!
We'll see the next one.
You are an old man and a fool!
We'll see the next one just after the end of the first third.
Ah.
When Odin appears in Jotunheim, he is riding his 8-legged horse, Sleipnir. This is actual Norse mythology.
You have betrayed the express command of your king.
Bifrost was originally thought of the rainbow as the Norse by the Norse. Oh shit, this was improvised.
Innocent lives to the horror and desolation of war.
Really?
You are unworthy of these realms, unworthy of your title. You're unworthy of the loved ones you have betrayed. I now take from you your power. In the name of my father, and henceforth before, I own your father, cast you out!
So that speech before was improvised, and apparently was very emotional on set.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoever holds this hammer
Why does he do this?
be worthy shall possess
Why?
the power of Thor.
If he's cast him out,
Because I think he has ambitions for Thor, and he's fully aware of what he's doing. But he's basically saying, Thor, you either prove yourself or you don't. I think he's giving him an option. Oh, it says Odin's ravens, Hugin and Munin, thought and memory, are sitting on the throne during Thor's coronation.
It's your fault. Get the first aid kit. Do me a favor, don't be dead. Whoa, does he need CPR? Because I totally know CPR.
oh, Darcy. She's very funny. The comedic
She
humour.
disappears after 2, doesn't she?
Yes.
That's fair enough.
Where did he come from? You alright? Yeah, we can tell you're hammered. Oh my god, Eric, look at this! We have to move quickly before this all changes.
Jane, we have to take him to the hospital.
He's fine, look at him.
I know you can hear me. Open the Bifrost.
Hospital, you go. I'll stay.
What realm is this? Alfheim? Nornheim?
New Mexico?
You dare threaten me. Thor is so puny a weapon.
What? He was freaking me out.
Next time you decide to take this somewhere, make sure it's already in the car, okay? Jane! Come on.
So they're in Mexico.
New Mexico, yeah.
New Mexico.
And there is the
Aforementioned.
post-credit scene of Iron Man 2.
Oh, very interesting. Now, did you know there's a short? There's a Marvel short on the called "On the Way to Thor's Hammer."
And it was Agent Coulson doing a thing in a convenience store.
Mm-hmm.
I've never met him before. Until she hit him with the car. I grazed him. But she
With my window. Again, using this little using a fisheye lens there.
How dare you attack the son of Odin?
Need some help.
That's quite a nice one-shot little sequence they've got going there, like with people flying across the place and throwing. That's quite a nice bit of filmmaking.
You're no match for the mighty.
Now, some guys are going to come out and try to move the hammer. Now, one of the guys is our favourite cameo.
Stan Lee.
Yes. But the first man to do it is actually, his name is J. Michael Straczynski. He's a writer of He-Man, and he is also a writer who worked on Thor. Yeah, he worked on Thor. He's a writer of He-Man, nine episodes of Babylon 5, Ninja Assassin, which I really like, World War Z, and now pre-production Shadow Man from Valiant Comics.
Awesome.
So Valiant Comics are doing their things.
This is him.
That's him. So he is a writer of Thor, and he had the honor of failing to pick up the hammer. Another writer of Thor is seen much later at the end of the film.
Oh, really?
I'll point him out when it comes to it. They made this. They custom. This is, I think, an actual town, but they heavily customized it for the film.
Nope. It's a completely fake town. It's a completely fake town. They thought that they needed. They might have taken a town and made it up, but actually the name and everything completely fake.
So I don't know if it's come up or been seen, but the number James Lab. Well, I don't know if it's shown yet, but in any event, James Lab is number 1001 binary for 9.
Really, they are really going on this heavy 9.
Look, they're having a lot of thought in it. How do we print it out and no one see that?
Now, if the Bifrost was a real thing,
yeah,
would it actually be able to take the weight of people and be able to transport them?
I presume so. I honestly, dealing with technology, that we do not understand. So I don't think it unreasonable.
Interesting.
Look, Bifrost has clearly been shown to be able to transport whole armies.
And an 8-legged horse.
And an 8-legged horse. This is bad.
I just lost my most important piece of evidence. Typical. Now what? We find him.
You see what he did in there? I'm not sure finding him's the best idea.
Well, our data can't tell us what it was like to be inside that event, and he can't, so we're gonna find him. Okay.
You're gonna look all over New Mexico, right?
Get the taser out.
Sorry. I swear I'm not doing this on purpose.
And of course, being in New Mexico,
Come on, you rednecks.
it comes down for the rednecks indeed. This is literally...
Right there, they got a barbecue going. Yeah.
This is King Arthur, the comic book, isn't it? It is. It's Sword in the Stone. It's King Arthur.
In a way, yeah. In a way, yeah, it is.
I think this is one of Stan's favourite cameos.
I don't know if it's one of his favourite, but you see this truck. I'll point out, but you get to see this truck later, and you can see because the back is missing.
Did it work?
Ah, Stan. Yeah, you get to see his truck later, and you'll notice it because there's just the cabin driving.
Here he is, all the way from Hollywood, California, to New Mexico.
Oh! The crater created by the impact of Thor's hammer forms the design of Captain America's shield, a set of concentric circles with a star shape in the centre.
We found it.
Really?
Ah, man, I wasn't looking out for that. But I'll break it now. When S.H.I.E.L.D. put their huts down, if you look closely, it spells out S.H.I.E.L.D.
No.
Which is like a very
Really?
silly joke, but nonetheless, like,
Really?
let's have a look for it. I personally wanted to see the stars, and the concentric circles in the shape with a star in the middle.
Maybe we will if we see the shield tents above it.
We might be able to see it. If we don't, I'm going to go look it back after.
What is this?
Oh. My ex. Good with patience and bad with relationships. They're the only clothes I had that would fit you.
They will suffice.
Welcome.
This mortal form has grown weak. I need sustenance.
And I think we're Ooh, and we're back in Asgard.
So is this is not the throne room, is it?
No.
let him go.
There was no stopping.
At least he's only banished, not dead. Which is what we'd all be if that guard hadn't told Odin where we'd gone.
How did the god even know?
I told him.
What?
I told him to go to Odin after we'd left. Usually flogged for taking so long we should never have reached Jotunheim.
You told the god?
I saved our lives. And Thor's. I had no idea Father would banish him for what he did.
Loki, you must go to the All-Father and convince him to change his mind.
If I do, then what? I love Thor more dearly than any of you, but you know what he is. He's arrogant, he's reckless, he's dangerous. You saw how he was today.
Good performance.
Is that what Asgard needs from its king?
You may speak of the good of
It's interesting because we haven't seen Loki do a whole lot yet. He hasn't yet come into the sort of scheming, conniving character that we know him to be. But nonetheless, I really like that. That was a nice piece of character item.
Loki definitely needs that little bit of a push. Is he at this point looking to become king?
I don't know yet, but I think we later find out that Loki's got a couple of things in mind for himself. So he's obviously got schemings in. Holding it.
Stop!
And his hands are changing.
Am I cursed?
No.
What am I?
You're my son.
It's the first and only time we see him blue.
But not the first time we hear jokes about adopted brother.
The casket wasn't the only thing you took from Jotunheim that day, was it?
No. In the aftermath of the battle, I went into the temple and I found a baby. Small for a giant's offspring. Abandoned, suffering.
Excellent CGI for 2011 on his eye.
I think 2000. What was the Dark Knight? Because that was CGI on Two-Face.
2008.
Yeah, so I don't think it's that amazing for this.
Think?
I think.
Am I right?
Why?
2009, yeah. And that was Two-Face was CGI there. So I don't think it's that much to shout about. It was done well. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if that was practical effects.
What was it?
Would not be surprised. That kind of makeup is the stuff that makeup artists get off on.
I thought we could unite our kingdom.
I wonder if this is one of the most dramatic Marvel films they made, because Marvel has always been humorous, and they've always pushed towards more humour. But there's a lot of shouting, there's a lot of anger in this film, there's a lot of rawness. Is there another Marvel film that is as dramatic?
I think Incredible Hulk probably comes up there.
Locked up.
I don't know.
Here, to be my
Dramatic.
There are definitely scenes in it that
From the beginning.
that
Why didn't you?
make it dramatic.
But what was the last time you had this?
Civil War.
When?
Captain America Civil War.
When? Not tension, not dramatic, but like this kind of like emotion.
Oh, well, if it,
I wonder if this is special in this regard. And I am a fan of this.
Frost giant sitting on the throne of Asgard.
so there was the scene in Age of Ultron between Captain America and Iron Man.
Tony Stark. Okay, that's fair.
Guards!
I do think that there was not Infinity War, in Civil War. There's definitely emotional scenes, especially when he's trying to incite emotion from his father's pens.
Well, you know, for now, that is ranking as possibly my top favourite emotional scene that I've seen so far. We'll see if that changes. I love that. Oh,
Drink, I like it.
wait for it. Yes! Another smash. I don't know if it's come up yet, but basically, there's a 7-Eleven in the film.
Yes.
What's the number between 7 and 11?
Oh, for goodness sake.
9.
Nicely.
meant no disrespect.
Alright, well, no more smashing. Deal?
Oh, you see that van behind him? No back.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Amazing.
There's the van.
Usual, please, Izzy. You missed all the excitement out at the crater. Seeing some kind of satellite landed out in the desert. Yeah, we were having a good time with it until the men showed up.
Excuse me, did you say there was a satellite crash?
Yeah.
Oh my god. This is going on Facebook. Smile.
What did it look like, the satellite?
Well, I don't know anything about satellites, but it was heavy. I mean, nobody could lift it. They said it was radioactive. I had my hands all over it. Which way? 50 miles west of here. Well, I wouldn't waste my time. Looked like the whole army is from when we left.
Where are you going?
50 miles west of here.
Why?
Get what belongs to
How does he know north, south, east, and west?
They say this.
I don't know for certain.
So he might just be repeating it.
He might just, yeah.
If you take me there now, I'll tell you everything you wish to know.
Everything?
Yes. All the answers you seek will be yours once I reclaim your now.
Yeah, man?
Yeah, yeah.
Word, James.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we appreciate Thor still standing in the middle of the road?
Yeah.
You saw what I saw last night. This is no coincidence. We have to find out what's in that crater.
But I'm not talking about the crater, I'm talking about
He's promising nothing in terms.
It's delusional. Listen to what he's saying. He's talking about Mjolnir and Thor and Bifrost. It's the stories I grew up with as a child.
I'm just gonna drown him. That's it.
It's dangerous, James.
I'm sorry, but I can't take you.
And this is where we say goodbye.
Thank you.
Jane Foster, Eric Selvig, Darcy. Farewell.
Does Darcy have a last name?
I want to say yes.
He probably does, but...
Good work.
Darcy's surname is Lewis.
Oh, there's a 7-Eleven behind him. Jane Foster's wearing Uggs.
Outside in the desert?
People give me crap for wearing Crocs.
Hey! That's my stuff! What the hell is going on here?
Foster and Agent Coulson with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Is that supposed to mean something to me? You can't do
So
this.
this is the first time ever in a Marvel film,
This is my life.
well, I want to say ever, but other than sequels, that there is continuation between franchises. No, I'm wrong.
What do you mean?
I was about to say, this is the first time that a character from one franchise has become into another franchise, but I'm wrong.
And I'm sure
And why am I
I'm
wrong?
for violating my constitutional rights.
I'm not quite sure.
So, in The Incredible Hulk, the end credit scene is Tony Stark
Yeah.
going into
The general thing.
into the
And
general.
everything I know about this phenomenon is either in this lab or
So,
this book.
in a film specifically, this is the first time it crosses over. It's the first crossover character.
I'll take that. But then again, here's only chapter 1, chapter 4, part 1.
Chapter 4, part 1? Part 1, chapter 4.
Yeah, that's one. Just smash and grab, raid everything. I wonder how big the check he gave. Oh, 1001. There's number 9.
Yeah.
Years of research. Gone. They even took my iPod.
What about the backups?
They took our backups. They took the backups of our backups. They were extremely thorough. Just downloaded like 30 songs onto there. Could you please stop with your iPod? Who are these people?
I knew the scientist, the pioneer in gamma radiation.
That is a reference to.
She showed up.
Bruce Banner.
There's a deleted scene where there's also a reference to Hank Pym.
Really?
They're not going to do that to us. I'm going to get everything back.
That's yeah.
Let me contact one of my colleagues. He's had some dealings with these people before. I'll email him and maybe he can help.
They took your laptop too?
Asgard. Again, Asgard just looks beautiful.
And
And
go on.
they do try and keep...
Oh, one thing I remember now. Ooh. One thing I do remember is when Odin was banishing Thor, him ripping off his plates and stuff was inspired from another film where a soldier was deranked and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
That's what he was inspiring.
Has fallen into the Odin Sea. Mother fears he may never awaken again.
We would speak with her.
She has refused to leave my father's bedside. You can bring your urgent matter to me.
Think where he starts compared to where he ends in Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he starts as Odin and he ends as.
Well, he starts as a selfish person who becomes king.
And then he ends the other way around. But this is Loki's has a roller coaster throughout all the films. He's good, then he started in this film good. Now he's clearly gone not good. Then he comes back to good in Ragnarok. Then he goes between good and not good in the same film. And then in Dark World, and then in Ragnarok he is ambivalent, then bad, then good, then bad, before ending up good and before dying a hero.
For the good of Asgard.
We think.
So-
As of this recording.
As of this recording.
Good that you awake on my word. If I
So-
may, beg the indulgence of Your Majesty.
Oh, give me.
To perhaps reconsider. We're done.
Music. Not too memorable in this film.
It actually got good reviews.
Really?
But you're right, I had made a mental note to mention it, but I haven't sort of found it. I might have to go listen to the music after. I planned to do it before, I didn't have time. See? Rainbow.
Mm.
What was it?
I need a horse.
We don't have horses, just dogs, cats, birds.
And give me one of those large enough to ride.
So, in Norse mythology, his mother rode into war on a couple of cats, or was dragged into, the child was driven into war by a couple of cats, giant cats.
Ah.
Have you ever done anything like this?
Many times. But you're brave to do it.
Well, you just stole my entire life's work. I don't really have much left to lose.
But you're clever. Far more clever than anyone else in this realm.
Realm? Realm?
You think you're strange?
Yeah, I do.
Good strange or bad strange?
Doctor.
I'm sorry. But who are you? Really?
You'll see soon enough.
You promised me answers.
What you seek, it's a bridge.
Like a nice and rose bridge?
More like a rainbow bridge.
God, I hope you're not crazy.
Now, if a man came to you and said that he's come on a rainbow bridge and he's...
Would I believe it?
would you not think he's high?
A little. Now, I remember reading about the design for this was meant to be like light flowing and energy. It's not bad. It's not my favourite kind of thing, but it's not bad.
This time it's different. We were unprepared.
So when Chris Hemsworth and Anthony Hopkins saw each other in full armour, do you know what they said to each other?
We
They
don't-
said, God, there's no acting required here.
Yeah, like
Which is so funny.
which is basically it's time when you've done it right. When when your costume puts you in character, you're like, hell yeah. I remember Tom Cruise said a similar thing when he was filming Valkyrie, film about Nazi Germany. He said, as soon as you put on the uniform, he said, like, your back's a little straighter and you're immediately quite, like, on point. He's like, that is a sign of your outfit is matching what you're meant to be doing. I wonder which character in the MCU gets the shortest straw when it comes to outfit.
You're saying that says shield on it, does it?
I might have to recheck my notes, because you're right.
But there's I can see the concentric circles, for sure.
Yeah, I don't see shield. Let me recheck my notes on that.
I bet you the shape could be combined probably to say shield. But there's the concentric circles and there's the star in the middle.
Oh, I missed that. Was it there?
Yeah. It zoomed into the hammer.
What? Wait, why?
Now, there's a bit coming on just a bit later where Coulson asks Thor, who are you trained by? Are we trained by Special Forces? Chris Hemsworth trained with Navy SEALs to prepare for this role.
No.
Nice.
Look what's down there. You think you're just gonna walk in, grab our stuff, and walk out?
No, I'm gonna fly out.
It says the actual concept actually spells out the word shield.
I can see why. There was like I can see an S.
So it's like an artistic shield.
There is Jasper Sidwell.
Who?
Jasper Sidwell is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And does
Or
he-
more actually accurately, an agent of Hydra.
Ah.
This is the guy that gets kidnapped by Natasha Romanoff in Captain America and gets dropped off the building to Falcon to pick him up and mentions Doctor Strange. That's Jasper Sidwell.
Jackson report.
We're about to get our first glimpse of another MCU character.
We are.
Not the most famous one, but one nonetheless.
Agent down. We've got a perimeter breach.
And the other thing as well, the other very important thing about this is they weren't filmed at the same time.
What do you mean?
So, as far as I remember, you'll see Coulson talking on a radio, but he doesn't know who he's talking with, and you'll see
People responding.
someone responding. That is
Filmed out of sequence.
filmed out sequence.
Very common filmmaking technique. And it's actually quite impressive when it comes together correctly. When done wrongly, you get the feeling like they're not actually in the room together. But it's always nice when you don't notice it, or they actually do film it together just for the sake of it. Because filming like a conversation can take a day. And so it's kind of nice occasionally when people are like, oh yeah, I'll come to set for a day when I don't need to, just so I can play against you. I don't know why they've not got guns out at this point. Aha! Hello, Clint.
So Jeremy Renner.
When was the last time we saw Renner? When was the last time we saw him played?
What, as in
In the role? What was the last film he appeared in?
before this film?
Oh no, in MCU in general, from where we are today.
Captain America: Civil War.
He hasn't been in any of the others. No one's yet fired a bullet.
What have we got? There's a massive electromagnetic surge coming off that thing. Systems are barely coping. Talk to me. You want me to slow him down, sir?
So, as you said at the beginning of the film,
Uh-huh.
Clark Gregg knew who he was speaking to,
Ah, but he didn't know who he spoke to.
but Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye did not know who he was speaking to.
Oof.
You're big. Fort bigger.
a slow motion drop kick.
It wasn't a drop kick, it was a 2-foot one.
It was. I feel like it. No, it was definitely a drop kick.
Drop kick is when you drop something and kick it.
No.
He jumped in the air and he came
No.
kick it.
A drop kick is when you jump in the air and use both feet
That's
to
called
hit
a
someone.
flying kick.
No, a flying kick is when you use one foot. This is both feet.
I don't believe I'm doing this, but I'm googling drop kick. Dropping the ball and kicking before it bounces to the ground. Flying.
No.
Hang on. Flying kick. Delivered is particularly the kick delivered in the air, specifically moving the opponent after a running start.
What is a drop kick in wrestling terms?
Last chance. Wait. I want to see this.
Oh, hang on. The wrestler jumps up, kicks the opponent with the soles of both feet. Ah, so it's a wrestling drop kick. Fair enough. We are both correct. Now, is this the end of the first third or the second, or just a clip in the second third? I think it's just a clip in the second third. The end of the first third was when he was banished.
It's the end of the second third then.
Um,
I feel like this is the end of the second third.
I'm gonna have to check this up because I'm not super. I don't super remember the Thor.
Because I can't see a reason for it not to be. Like I feel like it is the heart, like the halfway point in the film for sure. But I don't know why it couldn't be considered the end of the second act. I think it is considered the end of the second act.
I think you're right.
Alright, show's over. Grandparents moving up.
I think you're right. I think it is the end of the second act.
And at this point, we would be stopping it and thinking about it. But maybe we now just talk over it because
Sure.
we decided we're not going to stop it anymore. We're gonna let it play out. So, how far have we got? How's the character progression got so far? And what are we going to?
In which way? Okay, you start with the one you're most interested in.
So I'm most interested. I think we've already spoken about him in Loki. I think Loki has changed dramatically. Excuse me, in this film already.
Oh, I like that. You could see the reflection on Heimer's eye
Heimdall's.
eye of the base that we're in. I like that. Also, interestingly, the nebula he was looking at was red on the left and blue on the right. This, I think, mimics when Odin was between Thor and Loki, red on the left, blue on the right. Okay, so go on.
So I think Loki's story arc at the moment is the most interesting. And I think that's why people consider him one of the most interesting characters in the whole of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I think also because he pulls it off fantastically. He can do humour, he can do drama, he can do intensity, he can do lightheartedness. He is a great actor.
What about you? Who have you at this point? What
am I most interested in?
What are you most interested in?
Honestly, it's Loki. Like, don't get me wrong, Thor is fine, but I think I know Thor. I've seen Thor in many films. If I come into this the first time, like, I guess he's the main character, but coming back at this, it's Loki that I'm most interested in.
Highly trained professionals in the world that have the
Oh, I was about to say the special forces thing.
mall cops. That's hurtful. In my experience, it takes someone who's received similar training to do what you did to them. Why don't you tell me where you received your training? Pakistan? Chechnya? Afghanistan? No, you strike me more as the soldier of fortune type.
No, it's a shame that they didn't do another Easter egg in there. They didn't say something like Wakanda or something like.
He doesn't know. Does he know Wakanda?
At this point,
No, he doesn't.
Wakanda. No, they know Wakanda exists. They
But
just
they
think
know
it's
nothing about it.
no. They think it's just a rural.
Yeah, they think they think.
You know what I mean? Even going with Sokovia, something that.
Sokovia wasn't important. But you're right, it would have been nice to. Sokovia wasn't important until an Accord happened there. Ooh.
Loki, what are you doing here? I had to see you.
What's happened? Tell me, is it Jotunheim? Let me explain to Father.
Father is dead.
mischief.
Mm-hmm.
What? Your banishment. The threat of a new war. It was too much for him to
Once
bear.
again with this sort of diagonally slanted camera.
You must
Non-Thor, but on Loki.
I know that you loved him.
Oh, now on
Trying
Thor.
to tell him
But
so.
why?
Listen.
It's because it's unsettling. It adds like a sort of amount of tension and drama to a scene just by tilting the camera a little. Yeah, it adds tension, it adds drama, it adds unsettling.
Okay.
The burden of the throne has fallen to me now.
It changes up the composition of things.
Because you don't get a full face shot. You actually get more of a face.
You do get more of a face, but no, it's the composition. Normally, you've got the rule of thirds in film. Because it's diagonal, his entire eye falls along the diagonal from the top left corner into the center of the thing, into the center of the film. Oh, shuffling from left to the right. What they're also doing is they're breaking the rule of 180. Normally, when you have people talking, you stick on a 180-degree angle. You film them from that side. You don't just cross over. They've been crossing back and forth this entire time. It's unsettling. It's meant to be not comfortable.
Interesting effect being used.
And also, I think the fact that it's diagonal allows him to put a lot of empty space on one side. It's drawing attention to him. It's a well-directed film.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've been very tight on Thor's face, and we're now suddenly back out a tiny bit more. And now we're tight on Loki's face. The first time we've been tight on his face this entire sequence. And the first time we've seen his eyes properly, because before his eyes were always downwards, he flicks up just for a second.
Just go back.
Now, it's interesting because there is a lot of boring ways to film dialogue between people. That was not boring. Could Loki ever wield Mjolnir?
I wonder if he has in the comics. I want to say he has probably done so in the comics. But we know that the biggest.
Is that the guy you were talking about?
That's Jasper Sidwell. Yes, absolutely. One of the biggest things with Thor in the comics most recently is that Thor is female in the comics.
It was actually Jane Foster, and it was in the arc of the death of Jane Foster.
Really?
Matthew Scales was reading it and showing it to me.
You can understand how a man could
So
go
Jane
like that.
Foster became
A
Thor.
big faceless organization like yours coming in with her jackbooted thugs and... That's how he put it. That still doesn't explain how he managed to tear through our security. Steroids! He's a bit of a fitness nut. Sir? It says here that he's an MD. Well, he is.
This is
Or
the
what he
only
was.
Thor film that
He,
we're watching
did careers and became a physicist.
on our list.
Brilliant physicist.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful
So even
man.
though
He's a man
Thor
of
Dark World shows us the Reality Stone,
Oh, Johnny.
it wasn't important for us to
Be all right.
go through it.
You home now?
And Thor Ragnarok is one of our favourite films.
Thor Ragnarok is a very good film.
And again, it's not on our list.
Yep. It is a great expansion standalone in its own way, even though it still nonetheless connects. Just casually steal.
Just stop it. Just keep him away from the bars.
No, interesting. Even though they knew the data was falsified, they still let him go. Coulson was obviously playing a very long game here.
Drink. Father.
Yeah, playing a long game. Interesting use of neon colours in this bar, because we don't really see that again until Thor Ragnarok.
Guardians of the Galaxy?
I mean, in a Thor film, but yeah. But it's not like neon like Thor Ragnarok was. It's an interesting contrast of dark and light.
First time in my life, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do.
No one is ever going to find his way in this world. He should start by admitting he doesn't know where the hell he is.
Thank you for what you've done.
No, don't thank me. I only did it for Jane.
My father and I taught at university.
He was a good man. I never listened.
Neither did I. My father was trying to teach me
see it. I don't know if you're delusional or you're playing some kind of con. I don't care. Just care about her. See the way she looks at you.
I swear to you, I mean her no harm. Good.
In that case, I'll buy another round. You leave town tonight.
Much more conventional talking scene. Now, interesting that we didn't speak at all through that. Now, it might be just because what's going on is not massive. Ooh, I like the neon backgrounds. Those eyes of, come on.
Right, so
I don't remember this scene. We're back on Jotunheim.
I didn't think we went back.
Well, it'd be a shame if we only saw it for one scene, but I'm guessing this is Loki come to talk to the king to work out what is going on.
Kill him. After all I've done for you.
So you're the one who showed us the way into Asgard.
That was just a bit of fun, really. To ruin my brother's big day.
That's
And to
bitter.
protect the realm from his idiotic rule for a while longer.
I will hear you.
I will conceal you and a handful of your soldiers. Lead you into Odin's chambers and you can slay him where he lies.
Why not kill him yourself?
I suspect that the Asgardians would not take kindly to a king who had murdered his predecessor. Once Odin is dead, I will return the casket to you. And you can return Jotunheim to all its glory.
Chilly glory.
There's a lot more. There's a lot, and the more I see it, the more I see the diagonals going on. Oh, I like that animation.
What troubles you, gatekeeper?
I turned my gaze upon you in Jotunheim, but could neither see.
Do you notice how he's only called Gatekeeper in this film?
You were shrouded from me.
It's his name.
They never. No, his name is Heimdall.
No, but that's
Senses of weekend
It's his title, and they never use his name, but they use Loki's name, and they don't use God of Mischief, and they don't use
that's his
Lord of Thunder. They don't use
It's a cool character thing.
great power.
Lord of Thunder. Sorry, God of Thunder.
You're not God of what's the thing in Thor Ragnarok? You're not God of. You're not God of hammers, are you?
Why is that?
What's he the God of?
He is my king, and I'm sworn to obey him.
He was your king. And you're sworn to obey me now. Yes.
Yes.
And you will open the Bifrost to no one until I have repaired the damage that my brother has done.
Now, that place was actually based on Heimdall's house, Golden House. Go lean, crunch.
Oh my god. Is he okay?
He's fine. Don't hit the door. Oh, I'm sorry, my friend.
What happened?
We drank, we fought. He made his ancestors proud.
Put him on the bed.
The two Norsemen fighting and drinking.
I still don't think you're the god of thunder. But you ought to be.
These are all the chambers.
It's more of a temporary living situation. Oh.
I do feel this film drags on a little bit.
A common criticism of this film was that the Earth scenes were lackluster. The Asgard scenes, the Jotunheim scenes, great. The Earth one, what they said, is dragged. And yeah, I could see that. And this is why, in my own personal review of this film, like, don't get me wrong, the film moves itself on correctly, and I think it has the right tones. But yes, there's something just not quite there in how its pacing in the middle is, or what happens in the middle. Oh, once again, with the red and the blue contrast.
And the neons.
Mm-hmm. Red background, red to the left, blue to the right. Red foreground, blue background.
Where else is red and blue heavily used to contrast itself?
Is this Iron Man and Cap?
Yeah, Civil War. Civil War. I think when we were at spoilers, we're watching Civil War. When we watch Civil War, I think we should remind ourselves of this and come back to this whole red versus blue mentality.
I don't believe it.
Or I could get back. I'm sorry, it's not as much as I promised.
No, this is great. I don't have to start from scratch now. Thank you.
What's wrong?
Shield, whatever they are, they're gonna do everything in their power to make sure this research never sees the light of day.
No, Jane. You must not give up. You must finish what you started.
Why?
Because you're right. Yeah, look. Your ancestors called it magic, and you call it science. Well, I come from a place where they're one and the same thing.
As I said, sufficiently advanced technology, magic.
I have to say, of all the origin stories, this one is the one I'm not the most fond of.
I can get behind that. I think there are some good scenes in it,
My
but
father,
I was not a fan when I first saw it. I was not endowed by it. I'm not sure that's the right word.
It just...
linked to each other.
Oh, also, in the thing, Odin runs the MCU.
You see it every day without
Odin runs the universe.
the images
In the
come
comics?
through,
Or in the films?
I think they said in the films Odin runs the universe. Not that it's ever made a big thing about, but I guess it's too early in the MCU. Because if they brought it up later, it would have been a really big deal. Like, the head of the universe has just been killed.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's just like, oh, his dad is dead. But if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. They were the center and the ones who decided everything.
When Stan Lee first created Marvel characters, along with Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and all these incredible people who created all these characters, the biggest thing that he said is it has to be realistic. You can't have fantastical worlds and fantastical characters. That is why so much of this takes place in New York, and that is why the entire of Thor is based on Norse mythology, based on Yggdrasil and all of these things that are real things.
You managed to consume 4 wild boars, 6 pheasants, a side of beef, and 2 casks of ale.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Do not mistake my appetite for apathy!
Stop it!
Gimli.
And in real life, Gimli is like 6 foot something, so you know that could actually be Gimli. Yeah, no, I completely get behind you. Like, you are trying to give people a sense of something they can understand, and grounding it in something real is the easy way to do that. Now, there's also another thing that actually I was chatting with someone about the other day, which is villains in the MCU. Villains in comics. The lazy option.
Heimdall demands your presence.
He's used his Heimdall there. Villains in the MCU. Oh, villains.
You would defy the commands of Loki, our king. Break every
Oh,
oath
let's just
you
watch
have
this for a
taken
second.
as warriors and commit treason to bring Thor back.
Yes.
Good.
So you'll help us?
I am bound by honor to our king. I cannot open the bridge to you.
Complicated, fellows.
How would we do?
Just push it down, because I think that's all you need. Keep this. So, a very lazy thing to do in superhero films is you spend your time setting up your hero, or just make your villain your anti-hero. And this you see this quite a bit. In Iron Man 1, the villain to Iron Man is anti-Iron Man. In Iron Man 2, the villain to Iron Man is basically the anti-Iron Man. In The Incredible Hulk, the villain to the Incredible Hulk is the anti-Incredible Hulk. Thor is the first time in this series of films that we have a villain that is not the anti.
Yeah.
Whether it's... You could say Loki is like the anti-god, but he's not really. He is a very different character. The Destroyer is definitely not anything they've dealt with. So it's one of the first times you see in these films not the anti-hero. And this is something that I think Sam Raimi's Spider-Man did well. It managed to set up both Green Goblin and Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus and all of these, and Venom and Sandman, and have them fight each other and not be equal and opposites.
These are the original Spider-Man films.
Yeah. Now, what was the other film that just came out? Well, I'm thinking of Venom. What was the bad guy in Venom?
Anti-Venom.
Basically.
Anti-Venom.
And here we see the Destroyer again.
Ensure my brother does not return. Destroy everything.
As you do, just walking through a town. Don't mind me.
With massive armour and weapons and... yeah.
But how would they ensure that his brother did return? Like, surely Heimdall knows where Thor is and can just pick him up. Why do they have to send them?
Wait, you have to send him because it wasn't the fact that Loki is going to kill... They didn't know that Loki was going to call the Destroyer down. It's
But why
more...
did they need to send him? Why couldn't they...
Why did he need to send them?
Yeah.
More to find Thor.
But he's Heimdall. He knows where everyone is.
It's not about... It's about the communication, about going to Thor.
And the Historical Recreation Club has come to town.
Oh, excuse me. Lady Sif and the Warriors 3. My friends, I've never been happier to see anyone. But you should not have come. Look, we're here to take you home. You know I can't go home. My father...
How are they going to take him home? Only one person controls the Bifrost.
I must remain in exile.
Thor, your father still lives.
Tell me, Loki, how did you get the Jotuns into Asgard?
You think the Bifrost is the only way in and out of this realm? There are secret paths between the worlds to which even you, with all your gifts, are blind. But I have need of them no longer. Now that I am king, and I say for your act of treason, you are relieved of your duties as gatekeeper, and no longer citizen of Asgard.
And I need no longer obey you.
How does he die in Infinity War?
He sends Hulk.
No, but how does he die? Someone-
So he sends Hulk to Earth, and then Thanos kills him with one of the children of Thanos' staff. Again, we think he's dead.
Now, how did Loki activate the Bifrost without a sword? Or maybe he used one of the
Because
others.
it's not the only way in and out of this realm.
Was somebody else coming?
Oh, they're about to say, is it one of Iron Man's things?
That one of Stark's?
There we
I
go.
don't know. God never tells me anything.
The mountains in the background are reminiscent of the first Iron Man film.
Hello! You're using unregistered weapons technology. Identify yourself. Here we go.
Jane, you have to leave.
What are you gonna do?
I'm staying here. Paul's gonna fight with us. My friends, I'm just a man. I'll only be in the way or worse than one of you killed. But I can help get these people to safety.
Well, if you're staying, then so am I.
We'll need some time.
You'll have it.
Okay, move it, people!
Everybody out. Use the back door. No, hurry, you can eat later.
Keep it distracted.
I mean, it's called Destroyer. I'm not sure there's much to distract it from.
No. Goodbye, 7-Eleven.
And they actually destroyed that in real life.
again, I think this is a... Oof.
This is a cool little piece of animation. How do you think this guy is as a villain? Has no personality, he's strong. He's clearly got a one-trick pony when it comes to what he does. He hits things and he blows them up in his face.
Go. Now, run.
Is he an inspiring villain?
No. But I think he is the villain the film needed.
He's not even the villain he film needs. He is one of the climaxes. Good films don't just have one climax, they have two that come after each other, or maybe multiple, where things happen and things happen again, so it's not just been there, done that. And this one was about to have its second one just after this.
You've done all you can.
So he's a set piece.
Stories will be told of this day.
Live and tell the stories yourself. Now go.
They definitely flip that car. They're like flipping cars in
They
Marvel.
do
Like,
and they did a lot of good practical special effects here.
Stop Loki. What about you? Don't worry, my friends. I have a plan.
again, the film is about. The film has always been about him finding his powers, becoming.
It's not about finding his powers, it's growing into his powers. Because he had them, he didn't find them. What he's done is become worthy of them.
You say that, but he had them, then he lost them. So
Yeah, so he didn't. It's not. You don't re-find them.
well, you do.
I mean, we might just be arguing terminology around here.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of this film. It's not about, and this is why I don't think that this enemy is that important. This villain is that important because
I agree.
actually, it's not about that. The villain is realistic. Do you think the villain realistically is not having the powers or not?
Oh no, the villain is Loki. But you could, if you want to be metaphorical, you could say this destroyer. Yeah, this actually is Thor back in the past. Thor was a destroyer. He went to Jotunheim to destroy, and Thor was confronting the destroyer and denying it. So in many respects, this is the anti. This is Thor's anti, and it's also Thor's restoration.
So take mine and end this.
Not a fan of the wire work on that.
What do you mean?
You can see, just as he's hit, you can see him jump up off the ground as the wire's lifted up before he goes flying back.
Oof.
It's not like whacked against the thing like you see in other places. That was a little irrelevant when he could have been the blasted.
This scene is reminiscent of the scene in Infinity War
With what?
when they go to Neverdalir and they're building Stormbreaker. He needs the hammer. He needs the axe. That one. With Peter Dinklage being bigger than
Bigger than life.
life. Well, he is a bigger than life person. I like Peter Dinklage a lot.
Yeah, I feel like they wrote themselves into a corner where the destroyer that could just melt his face. So they just had him backhand him to death. Once, apparently, because that's all it takes.
No, I agree. Now it's interesting because most people would think, "Oh, that's the end of it." That's the end of it.
Well, most people would if you want to be cynical, would see this coming. But you know what? I'm cool with that.
That's the
I
start.
saw it. I saw it. Now you saw it. There was a. I wonder if that. Oh, that was the supersonic rumble. Now that's flying at the speed of sound. That would have made a crash that would have shattered a couple of things. Now there's a scene coming up just as he's holding the hammer. That is, this one is reminiscent of He-Man.
Yes, absolutely.
And yeah. Is this meant to be Thor summoning the... Oh, spinning it and... What I like about this is, and this is something that DC don't do too well, is if this was DC film, he would just use his hammer to smash that guy into submission. What they're showing here is they're experimenting with his powers and showing, oh, this is not the first time we see that kind of thing. As he's flying into the fire beam with Mjolnir. For me, that's reminiscent of as he's flying into the force beam in Infinity War.
With
Yeah.
Stormbreaker, yeah.
Yep, I like that. I don't know if that was intentional, but there you go. What I like is they had that moment. If this was a DC film and you want to be lazy, whack, 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 he's powerful as metal. No, they're showing an excessive power that you haven't seen before. I like that.
Oh, I like this scene.
Donald? I don't think you've been completely honest with me.
Know this, son of Cole. You're a guy
Son
who
of
likes
Cole.
to
That's
say
the
more
best bit of it.
Colson.
From this day forward, you can count me as your ally. If you return the items you have taken from James.
Stolen.
Borrowed. Of course you can have your equipment back. You're going to need it to continue your research.
Would you like to see the bridge we spoke of?
Sure.
So why did he say son of Cole? Because
Coulson.
well, so Coulson, but lots of Nordic names. That's where things come from. That's where
Ah. Oh, look, his staff could do it.
indeed.
Welcome to Asgard.
Well, we saw that because we saw that that Anthony Hopkins did it when he banished Thor with his staff.
Yes, this is true. So Heimdall and the King can do it.
Yeah.
Now, why do they have to travel out into the desert for this?
I wonder whether they have to go to the same spot.
He's got his stars and stripes back in place.
Mm-hmm.
Heimdall?
Once again with the diagonal camera. This guy is loving it.
I know.
I wonder if it... I don't think I've seen it in the other films. I wonder if it comes up again.
Then we are stranded. Heimdall! If you can hear me, we need you now! Heimdall! We need you now!
We see Heimdall use that a lot more in the in Ragnarok.
Yeah. Because Heimdall becomes the king, becomes that king.
Not the king,
not
but
sorry,
the defender.
sorry, the defender, the leader of the people.
I must go back to Asgard, but I give you my word. I will return.
So this is what I'd call very standard dialogue, where you sort of flick between left, right, and in a 180 angle.
Diagonal.
Yeah, and diagonal. I think that conversation piece in when Thor was captured by Coulson was a much better form of dialogue, much more engaging.
Do you know why it's diagonal here?
Why?
Because they're such different heights. It puts them at an even footing. No, seriously.
It might be, but it's diagonal. Oh, and now it's kind of gone level.
No,
Oh,
no,
it's still
it's
diagonal.
not. You can see the background is diagonal, completely diagonal.
No, that's true. That's true.
But
Oh, so it puts
but
them
I
on-
think it puts the heads on even level.
Yeah. Teleporting back through.
Now, in this film, when
Get into the healing room!
when the Bifrost is used,
You're my brother to me.
when the Bifrost is used in the desert, there's always a stand tornado around it. Everywhere else in the
It just
entire thing,
plonks, yeah.
you always just see the Rainbow Bridge.
To be fair, she took down one of them. She does much better fighting in Dark World.
Yes, she does. She protects Dame Foster, doesn't she?
It's sad. You can still hear and see what transpires around you.
Now, why isn't his grip burning?
I hope it's true,
Because it's Odin.
so that you may know your death came at the hand.
We've seen that dagger before. It was at the start of the film.
Indeed.
And your death came by the son of Odin.
Interesting. Why would
I
he
don't
do
remember
this?
this. Maybe he's trying to get in his dad's good book?
You saved him.
Maybe, but it makes no sense.
If everything else fell into place, he wouldn't need to explain it.
For what they've done today.
Oh, he's looking for an excuse to wipe them out. And bollocks. This has got more complicated.
Why don't you tell her? I sent the destroyer to kill our friends, to kill me.
What? Well, it must have been enforcing Father's last command.
You're a talented liar, brother. Always have been.
It's good to have you back. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to.
Now notice, Thor's on the left, Odin's in the middle, and he's on the right.
Again.
Yeah, again. And I like it when you have this kind of throwback. Oh. Now, this is the one part of the film that you could argue is just a little megalomaniac and not really in shape of the film. I will overload the Bifrost on the planet and so wipe it out. This is usually what like bad guys are all about. Like, his plan all along has been to do this.
But that makes no sense.
It doesn't. It's not that it doesn't make sense. It's just a little lazy.
Yeah.
It's something. It's one of the few things that. It's one of the things that detracts from the film.
Stop it. The Bifrost will build until it rips Jotunheim apart.
It does feel lazy. You're right. It it doesn't feel.
Because here's the thing. I think they had something going with protect Odin. We care about Odin. We want Odin to work. We want Odin to like not die. It's a little lazy to throw out shit. We need another thing. Well, Loki can't just kill Odin now without killing his mum, without killing his brother, and that's kind of so he's like, well, fuck it. I might as well just do my plan anyway and wipe out Jotunheim.
I am a worthy son.
I don't understand why he wants to wipe out Jotunheim.
To prove to father that he is a worthy son.
Destroy that race of monsters, and I will be true heir to the throne.
You can't kill an entire race.
Why not? And what is this newfound love for the frost giants? You
I don't remember this, but I'm curious to hear it.
war with your bare hands. I'm changed. So am I. Now fight me.
That's cool. But yeah,
I want
the
throne.
the threat is a little lazy.
I will not fight you, brother!
I'm not your brother. I never was.
Loki, this is madness.
Is it madness? Is it?
Again, the diagonal camera.
Mhm.
But again, I think
But they're facing
they're
into each
facing each other, and it does. Now, if you overlaid them on top of each other, I think that there would be no intersection. That's the point.
Yep, correct.
Was. Well, maybe when we're finished here, I'll pay her a visit myself.
Now, interesting, because you would have thought that Mjolnir would be well above whatever he's got. Clearly,
No,
Odin's
that's
staff-
That's Odin's staff.
Yeah, but clearly that is a significantly powerful weapon on its own right.
Odin's staff is the most powerful weapon in Norse mythology, I believe.
Fair enough.
I'm surprised.
Now, hang on, you're surprised what?
I think the only reason that Odin's staff is keeping up is because Loki's wielding it and not Odin.
We haven't really seen Odin's staff doing powerful things. I think that's one of the things I would have liked to see. I would have liked to see Odin's staff show its power, show that it's not just a metal rod. I was just trying to rate that action scene. It was a relatively good action scene. You have a look. Psych.
You wait here.
He does that trick with a dragon? What, does he do that trick with anyone else?
I'm trying to think. I don't remember. I wonder if he had the hammer, he'd be able to get there quicker into it through that.
I mean, realistically, Loki can't really catch up with him, so it probably would be better to keep the hammer.
No, I think he made the right choice putting the hammer down. But this is your dramatic finale of.
That was cool. I like that eye pupil opening, pupil closing, eye opening, pupil closing.
Forgive me, Jane.
Right, so the Bifrost is destroyed.
Yeah. Fitting explosion, by the way. I would rate that, but I think that's good.
Yet,
Ooh. He moved fast.
yeah, he did.
I could have done it, Father. I could have done it. For you. For all of us.
No, Loki.
And Loki's first death of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Where does he fall to? I'm trying to remember. Does he fall to the Kree?
I'm not sure.
Because I think that is the next time we see him in.
The Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he must fall to the Kree or somewhere that the Kree can get to.
It's not, but it wasn't the Kree. That's not the Kree on Earth. In the Avengers.
It is.
No,
Who is it?
no. It's another race.
I'm pretty sure it's Kree. Because when we see Thanos destroy Gamora's homeland, they have the exact same units and technology. I think it's the Kree.
I want to say it's not the Kree, and the reason why I don't think it's the Kree is because the Kree are heavily featured in Captain Marvel.
Alright, well, go ahead, look it up.
Chitauri.
Alright, fine. So, Thanos commands the Chitauri?
Yes. Or the Chitauri army is under his command, but maybe not his.
So is Thanos the last of his kind, or... And what kind is he? I like that. The cloud, there was an inverse cloud formation that mimics the palace.
Mhm.
And dawn grows on a new day. Next time we watch, I'll have to listen to the soundtrack beforehand and give a little commentary on that. Oh boy. Okay, so between a girl and someone else is the other writer, a very famous writer. Come on, laptop unlock first time. God, I can't get my password. I'm going to see if I can point him out. Yeah, that guy to the right. I bet that is one of the. He is Walter Simpson, writer and artist who worked on Thor in the banquet scene between Stiff and Volstagg.
Yep.
Thor Ragnarok was based on his work, and Malekith from Dark World was his creation.
Wow.
He is a very famous writer and name in the world.
See, look, this is what I was talking about with Sif having
I'm so sorry for your loss.
having some sort of romantic.
All right, let's have a look.
How is he? He mourns for his brother. And he misses him. Immortal.
You'll be a wise king.
There'll never be a wiser king than you. Or a better father.
Does Thor have any children in the comics? Ah, no, interesting. We have Thor on the left again, but the right is hidden.
I have
You asked me about Thanos' species. He's an eternal deviant hybrid, just so you know. Does Thor have any children?
Because he said, "I'll never be a better king or a wiser king or a better father."
Are we looking in comic books or are we looking in Norse mythology?
I'm very happy for you.
Okay, so in Norse mythology... Have a look.
You've already made me proud.
Don't believe so.
Here we have Heimdall looking up to the edge of the world. Interesting that their realm is literally a flat plane. Flat Earth is, you're right, just not about Earth.
there is always hope.
Ah, Thor's wife,
Jane Foster?
Sif.
Ha! Fair enough. Alright, you got me.
Yeah.
With his mistress.
This scene of them working in their lab was meant to be the opening scene.
Oh, really?
And you can hear them talking about the satellite things rushing to their car.
That's voiceover.
She's searching.
Because you can't see their mouths.
Yeah. A lot of it's voiceover. But yeah, that was meant to be the opening scene. And this here, that we're about to see, was meant to be the prologue, where they explain about the 9 realms.
Really?
Interesting, yeah. Interesting how they take that and they
Reuse it.
yeah. Now, as you can see, these are literally space photos. This was inspired by the Hubble Space, and it took 18 months to make.
Wow.
Which is cool.
Amazing. That's really cool.
These are very nice end credit sequences. The end credit sequences are generally quite nice. But I'm a massive fan of space and pretty shiny things.
Thor
And
had...
here we can see literally, you can almost see dark matter in the tree, which is putting a bit of science into it. The clouds being like this idea of dark matter that binds things together and its properties.
Interesting. I do like these visuals. These are reminiscent.
Oh, it's literally a tree, yeah.
Yes, because it's Yggdrasil.
Yes, very true.
Right, sorry, back onto Thor's children.
Yeah.
4 children.
Okay.
Magni and Modi, which were with his mistress, a giantess.
Sure.
Sif, he had a daughter called Thrud.
Alright.
And Thor also had a stepson, which was the son of Sif, called Ul.
What?
Ul, which was a stepson.
A-L-L.
U-L-L.
Oh, okay. Cool, well. Technically had more kids than his father, who only had 1.
No, 2. Hela.
You got me.
Ah.
You got me. We've seen this clip before. This was the clip used in the opening sequence,
Yes.
which I want to say is a bit of a lazy reusing, but that's okay. I'll forgive them. It's all right. It's the end of the film.
Right. I can't believe we got there. We got to the end of the film.
You didn't think we would?
I didn't think we would.
What do you mean?
No, I thought it was an interesting film.
Right.
It was.
We've obviously got the end credit sequence to watch.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember which one this one. I know. I remember what this one is. Do you?
Yes.
Okay. So what is it we do after these films?
So we kind of think about. Well, I think we need to do our final review, and then we need to rank it, comparing it. So currently we have our ranking system, as I'm sure you can see. Iron Man 1 is at the top, and nothing is below it.
Iron Man 1 is neither top nor bottom. It is.
Is it?
So final review. So it's much more watchable actually when we're actually narrating. The fact that I'm actually like actively trying to find stuff to see is actually kind of nice, because like this thing with diagonals, yeah, I didn't notice that before. It's me actively looking and picking out stuff and trying to tell you things. I like that. Thank you, buddy. So I love the scenes in Asgard. I loved Thor and Loki. I thought Odin was great. Yeah, the 4 side characters can just... This was Marvel not really understanding how to make side characters good. And they repair that. They definitely fix that.
Yeah, they do.
And they take all those 4 characters and just combine into one woman. They say, yeah, she'll do. Earth scenes were lackluster. And in fact, when you think about it, the set pieces they had on Earth, Thor fighting in the sort of the plastic tents, not that exciting. It's not that big or bombastic. Now that's okay. I'm okay with it not being big or bombastic, bombastic. But it wasn't all that set piecey. And films are just defined by their set pieces. So I loved the non-Earth scenes. The Earth scenes were fine, but they weren't outstanding. So, anything else? And yeah, as I said, that scene of Loki shouting at his father, basically Loki feeling cheated at the world and his life, and blaming it on Odin, and Odin having effectively what I took was a heart attack from that. That's still my favourite dramatic moment so far, and we'll see if that changes.
I think I agree with you. I think I really like the non-Earth scenes, because I think after the first 3 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you kind of get this sense of, okay, we've been on Earth, we've got this there. Asgard is the drive behind this film. It is what the people come and watch a Thor film for. I think the main character progression in the film was very good. I think the Jane Foster progression was very good, and I think that the Loki progression, as we've already spoken about, is very good. I think the Thor progression is, as we know, the core of this film. I do like the characters on Earth. I like Darcy. I think she's a good comedic humour. Mm-hmm. I like Eric Selvig. I think he plays the role very... Stellan plays the role very well, and I like Jane Foster. I agree with you that it is just a little bit dull and a little bit dragging on Earth. Mm-hmm. There's no fantastical element there. There's nothing to drive the story forward.
If you had to, honestly, that was probably the least set piecey. That's probably the worst set piece I've seen so far.
Yes.
But just as you said, characters, because yes, my opinion on stories is that film stories are characters to whom stuff happened to and change result. Now, interesting, the character Loki, does he change? Because it's revealed at the end that he is exactly as he's already been. What it changes is how you perceive him. You start by seeing him as Thor's friend, and then you see him as when Loki goes in the chamber, goes, oh, actually I told the god to tell Odin. You start to go, Loki's not just Thor's friend, he has the best intentions, but he's working sideways. And then it changes, he's not just working sideways, he's working against. So Loki doesn't actually change. Thor changes, Odin changes, Foster changes, not Loki. You change, not Loki.
Okay, that's a really interesting way of putting it, and I agree with you. Yeah, that it does happen. Does that theme continue when we're looking down across the Marvel films? I think we're going to have to watch them and find out.
And we think we will have to watch them and find out. I think it will mix. I think I can certainly remember from Thor Dark World, and I'll have to check Ragnarok. I think they've realised they played the game. In a way, you know Loki's illusion? Yeah, that film is Loki's illusion disappearing. And I think you don't really see that happen again, and there's a good reason why, which is because they've played their joke. In the next films, Loki very obviously goes between good, evil, and somewhere in the middle.
Not in Avengers. Avengers, he's just plain evil, no?
How does Avengers... he does just end evil. Yes, you're right. But in Thor 2, he is bad, then good, then bad, then good. In Ragnarok, he's good, then bad, then good, then bad. And then good. In Avengers, he's just bad. But I think here they've played the game very nicely, and they've had their fun realising who he is. I think they've done it well. But I don't think they can play that game again.
Okay, so I think we have to go to our ranking system now and put it in. So
we've only got... you know what I've realised? This is a binary tree. A binary tree where on the left side is things that are less than, and right side are things that are more than.
Yeah.
So we have Iron Man at the top. Joel. Thor... It's not called Thor 1, it's just Thor. Thor, less than or greater than Iron Man?
I think it's less than. it. Sorry, just to pause. I have just seen that Ralph Macchio is on the list of people to thank. Ralph Macchio is the Karate Kid. I think it's less than. I think that it is not as
Thor
good.
will return in the Avengers.
It is not as good as the original Iron Man due to all the reasons before.
Got a post-credit sequence.
And the post-credit sequence.
Is this Selvig walking through presumably the Shield facility?
Indeed.
Dr. Silver.
And here's Samuel L. Jackson's cameo, one of his 9.
You're the man behind all this? It's quite a labyrinth.
I was thinking, taking me down here to kill me.
I've been hearing about the New Mexico situation. Your work has impressed a lot of people who are much smarter than I am.
I have a lot to work on. The saucer theory, a gateway to another dimension. It's unprecedented. Isn't it?
Legend tells us one thing, history another. But every now and then we find something that belongs to both.
And there it is, our first glimpse at an Infinity Stone.
If we can figure out how to tap it, maybe unlimited power.
Well, I guess that's worth a look.
Well, I guess that's worth a look.
There we go.
Okay.
Hang on. So, John, you put it as
So
less than?
I think it's less than. I don't think that the film brings as much as Iron Man 1 did. It doesn't feel like it becomes part of the universe. It feels very distant. It doesn't feel like it is one of the movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for me personally.
I'm going to agree with you. My verdict is Thor is less than Iron Man. And I can see why you say that, because for very obvious reasons, Thor does not take place on Earth, which means that for a while they have to keep having us hop between it. And this is literal distance. Thor appears on Earth when he's needed to, or when he needs to, and he doesn't when he's not. It's not like Iron Man, who is always around. He's not like Spider-Man, who's always around. He's not like anyone else. He just appears when he needs to.
Yeah, and I think Thor also has that mystical quality that not many other people in the Marvel Cinematic Universe have.
Well, it's interesting because he has a mystical quality, but I think in future films that kind of disappears a bit. I don't know whether it's for good or for bad, but his character becomes one who talks very ancient and proper, and then he's basically just a hulking brute. He's a human that's extra strong with a hammer.
See, I agree with you for most of the films until Infinity War came out. I think Infinity War goes back to that mysticism and knowledge and all those types of things.
Because in, like, for example, Thor returns in Avengers, he has a punch-up with Iron Man, but it's literally just a man in a suit fighting a very strong man. Mm-hmm. And then he's just flying around, he's a strong guy. But you're right, it's when it comes to Infinity War, he gets Stormbreaker, he gets back, and you could also say kind of the end of Thor Ragnarok. I think
Thor Ragnarok as well.
He returns back to his sort of mystical roots of being, I am the God of Thunder, I am power.
So I think come to this point in this franchise, the 4 films in, we've seen 5 of the 6 original Avengers.
Okay, name them out.
So we've obviously seen Iron Man.
Yes.
And we've obviously seen Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
And we've obviously seen Thor.
Yes.
So there's the first 3, because we've had these films. These are the main characters of the films.
Sure.
We see Clint Barton here.
Yep.
We see Hawkeye in Thor Ragnarok, and then we see Natasha Romanoff
in Iron Man 2.
So
that's 5.
So we're missing 1.
Who is the last? Well, it's Captain America.
It's Captain America.
Yep. And well, the Captain America, as we said, released 2 months after this. It's a bit. I'm sure someone at Marvel was going, "Oh, this is not perfect. This is not ideal." I'm sure people in Marvel were worried. Are we going to burn out the public? Because remember, this was the early days of the MCU, and back in mind, I remember Kevin
Feige
was saying like he wanted to have a TikTok of recurring character, new character, return character, new character, and of course they couldn't always do that. For example, Thor: The Dark World came out at the same time as Iron Man 3, but they said this is what they want to aim for, and having 2 films out in the space of the same summer, I'm sure made them go, are we sabotaging ourselves?
And it's the fact they didn't do any other film throughout the 2009,
Well,
and they had no other films in
well,
2010.
Yes, it was just the one film. Oh no,
No, 2 films in 2010.
but no film in 2009. Yeah, and that's because they were filming. That's because they said Iron Man 2, go ahead, go for it.
I think that's it.
I think we're done.
We'll
have to get dated for next time.
We will.
And we're gonna have to drop. We're gonna have to drop. Drop Iron Man, the recording for Iron Man 1.
We will. Yeah, we definitely have to drop that recording.
Now that Joel has come up with the introduction that we're going to use, I need to edit that together, schmoozy that one in, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, and again, we've got the next film.
Well, we're not going to reveal it, but it's probably obvious. So, I'm Joshua.
I'm Joe.
You've been listening to The Marvel Method. We'll see you at the next one.